There we go, and we are live. Pest Perspectives number 9 we're on. We unfortunately had to cancel last week's because Jasmine wasn't very well. And my headset packed up. It broke, so I bought a new headset, so it's working all well. So we're all back. But thanks to all the support so far for the podcast. It's getting quite good numbers, but if you could all follow and subscribe and hit review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it all helps. And also, you will get CPD if you use the British Pest Register scheme. It's all on there. I've inputted it all as a CPD provider, and you can also self-register through the BPCA. So it depends. If you got 1 hour, it's one point. Say it's an hour and a half, it's 1.5. So it's worth doing. It goes towards your yearly CPD. It does. This week we have on. Here we go. Let's see if I get it right. Jorge Bedoya. Bedoya.
You got it.
Got it. There we go. So just go to comments, see if anyone's there. Right. So how are you doing, George, today? Is it nice and sunny where you are, or is it rubbish rain? Or
no, it's a sunny day over here in New York City.
Oh, New York City. I've never been to America. My mum and dad have. I've never been over yet. I haven't.
Good. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. That I can say.
Yeah. So do you want to tell people where they can, what your role is in pest control, like who you work for and so on? Then we can go backwards from there. We can.
Okay, so my current work is as an operations manager for my own company, which is New York Exterminating. We are located in Brooklyn, New York. I basically take charge of the client base, customer compliance, legal compliance. I am in charge of training, selection, and implementation of controls for my company.
Okay.
As any other technicians, I have routes that I perform, especially when it's new buildings. I go first, take over, eliminate the issues, and then give it to the maintenance crew.
Okay, that's good then. Seems like quite a senior role there. There's quite a lot of jobs with that, isn't there? Quite a few jobs included in operations manager.
Forget about it. You have everything, but it gives you a better perspective. Because back when I was a tech, I didn't have this many responsibilities. You just go do the job and that's it. You don't have to think.
Yeah.
Somebody does things for you.
Okay, so we'll get back to this in a bit. Did you always want to? Because obviously, in the UK, like when you leave school, I'll be honest, kids don't know or when you leave, they don't know pest control is an actual job. So when you were at school or high school or college or whatever you call it, did you know that pest control could be a job? Is that the route you took, or were you ever told, or as a lot of us do in England, we all fall into it. We don't actually go out knowing it's a career, from a young age.
No.
Or did you know that? Or
no, I wasn't aware of that. The only thing about exterminators that I knew were from the movies, like Black and White and all of that. And it's sad because the exterminator always dies.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the basic thing, about over there they call it fumigation, where the guys go with like a thermal fogger and just do a show. That's what you think pest control is, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But no, that is definitely not. When I finished high school, I was actually thinking of maybe going into architecture.
Oh, nice.
Then when I got to the US, I didn't know a lot to what to actually go to, but I knew I wanted something in science related field. So I joined a college, and while I was going to college, I had to pay my own college because
Okay.
that's how I am. I don't like to be in debt. So I was
Exactly.
full time in college, and I worked overnight cleaning a restaurant. And restaurants, they have exterminators going there every so often.
Yeah.
For months, I tried to get the local exterminator to tell me, hey, like, maybe getting a position, because it was interesting to me what they were doing.
Yeah.
No. So one day they sent somebody over, and that person saw me working crazy, and I got offered a job on the weekends in pest control,
Yeah.
and I said, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So I was working two jobs. I'm going to school full time.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that just shows your work ethic to start with. That's a good
Yeah,
work ethic to have.
yeah,
That is.
yeah. And not only that, um, I realized that in pest control, I was making on a weekend what I was making a full week cleaning a restaurant. So you say I can just go
Mm.
to college full time,
Yeah.
drop off the cleaning job because it was killing me, and then do
Okay.
pest control on the weekends.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for a year and a half, just while I
Okay.
was finishing college. And then yeah, that's what I did. That's how I got into pest control. I was supposed to become a regular route, just to do a regular route person, and
Okay.
then I was actually given more responsibilities because every job they send me, I say yes. If it's a 4 a.m. bedbug treatment, I say
Yeah.
yes. I don't care. I will ride the subway. I'll do whatever it needs to be done, but money is money.
So they notice that you're a hard working person and you do whatever they wanted, and they
Yeah,
notice, and that's good. That
yeah,
is. You're not just a number at your company. Obviously, they recognised you. They did
yeah.
your hard work. So it paid off. It did. So when you started first started doing pest control and you were just working the weekends, is there? I don't know how it works in America, but do you have to have any qualifications in pest control to do basic level pest control, like service in restaurants and stuff? I
Well,
don't know how it works in America.
well, the way it works is the following. At least in New York State, right? Because
Okay,
each state has its own regulations.
I've
In New
heard
York
this. I
State,
have.
you join a pest control company as an
Okay,
apprentice, but you have to be under the direct supervision of somebody called an operator, which is a fully
okay,
licensed exterminator, right?
okay. Yeah, yeah.
So that was me at the beginning. I was under somebody's supervision while I was getting the training and etc. Then I took the credits online to try to get the license for the technician. Before you
Yeah.
become an operator, you have to be a licensed technician. A licensed technician is only licensed in a single category.
Okay.
So if you do houses and structural, you cannot do restaurants.
Oh. Oh. Okay. That's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. We weren't doing. I wasn't doing restaurants. Only houses, buildings, whatever.
Okay.
Um, then I applied to become an operator, and I became an operator and expanded my licenses. And now I can do restaurants. I can do public health related facilities, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's very different to over here. It is. It's yeah. It's a it's a licensing scheme that a lot of people in our country like to talk about, and it's very divisive. It is, but no, it's good to hear how it works. Where in your state, because as you say, it's different from place to place. It is. Um, So, so did you deal with you obviously dealt with rats and mice and so on? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. In New York, you have a lot of rats and a lot of
I've
mice
I've heard
because of
this.
the way structures are built.
Okay.
Um, in I would say an estimation, over 80% of houses and buildings in New York City have mice inside the walls because the walls
Okay.
are hollow, and so they travel around the plumbing system and they feed off um, any kind of arthropods inside the actual walls, like American roaches, centipedes,
Okay.
etc. But
Okay.
if you
So
have a hole,
yeah,
they'll come through that. So it's a very
yeah.
difficult thing.
I imagine they're also coming through the sewers as well, straight
Oh
up from the
yeah,
sewers into the houses. They
yeah.
are.
I don't know if you ever saw this show called Futurama.
I've seen Futurama. Yeah.
Okay, do you know when Fry, which I don't know what's his name in English, the
We
the
call
main character, he
we,
wakes
we
up in
call
the
him
year,
Fry.
yeah, in the year 3000, and
Yeah.
he's in New York because
Okay.
they built over the old New York. Hello?
Yeah. I lost you for a second there.
Oh, okay.
I
In
got
the,
you. Yeah, they built over the old New York.
yes, something similar happening here in New York City. They built over the old structures instead
Yeah.
of replace. Like if they are going to change a pipe, instead of removing the old pipe,
Yeah.
they just put a new one next to it. So you have a whole underground system, and rats have definitely taken advantage of that.
That's what they do. They take advantage of our mistakes, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
They do.
So they
I'll have to
build
have a
it.
look out for that episode. Actually, I'll have to have a look.
Yeah,
Never noticed that one, but I will have to have a look. Oh, yeah, we do call the character Fry here as well. They don't change it for us. We're pretty much the same language, English, American. A few, a
yeah,
few, a few words are different. Frozen yogurt and yogurt, ice cream.
yeah.
Pretty much the
Potato,
same.
potato.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not that much different, really. People say it is, but I don't
Yeah.
think it is really. Um, so what else we got here? So with so so what made you want to? Because you obviously specialise in German cockroach treatment and training. So what made you want to hone in on that specific area? Is it because it's such a big area of business? That's where you do most of your work.
Okay, so I would say it happened about 2019.
Okay.
Uh, I was in an apartment building and I was living in there. So
Okay.
we got roaches,
Oh,
right? Not because we weren't clean, we just got roaches.
yeah.
Um, so the standard way to do roaches is basically blast them with a low, high pressure insecticide treatment. So you quote unquote do a flushing, knockdown, and residual insecticide all in once with a
Okay.
single product, right? Like most people do that. Um,
Okay.
and I was going out, and I was doing a lot of work. I have an air compressor, micronizer, and I used to believe that I was a great exterminator back then because I was basing my performance on the amount of roaches I immediately killed.
Okay.
Um, so the more effort I put onto it, the more I was just trying to be better at it, and I was getting callbacks, right? And
Yeah.
people were
Okay.
saying, "Hey, I'm seeing more roaches. Something is off. Like you have to come
Okay.
back." And we as exterminators begin to deviate onto thinking, well, maybe it's not me because I did the proper thing, right? I went there and I did the chemical application. Maybe it's the customer. Maybe the customer is not cleaning. Maybe the customer is lying. And when you go back there, you see no roaches, and you are like, see, no roaches. But
Okay.
actually, the customer does have roaches. I just back then I didn't know.
Okay.
I was like at the basic level, very ignorant of what could have happened based on the chemistry.
Okay.
Till I had roaches of my own. And when I had roaches of my own, I also had an IGR saved up, but the IGR was not for roaches. It was mainly for store product pests.
Okay. Yeah.
And I said, you know what, this thing is gonna go bad. So I see roaches in the label, I'm gonna use it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to expect. So I applied in my house
Yeah.
and I killed a lot of roaches and they quote unquote went away for a few days.
Yeah.
Then one day I'm sitting down in my sofa and there is this monster crawling on the wall. It was a very black, big insect.
Okay.
And I'm like, what's going on in here? So I looked at it, I killed it, and it turned out to be a supernumerary hyperpigmented German roach.
Wow. Wow.
Um, it basically kept, like they have like 5 to 6 molts.
Yeah.
It went above that. It went to the 7 and 8 because of the
Okay.
excess of juvenile hormone that was in the IGR. Um, and what I didn't know is that that one also had a part on sterilizing the roach. So that roach was weird and sterilized.
Okay.
So then we went to do. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna replicate this in other scenarios with other people.
Yeah.
But back then, my services were application based, right? Like I'm gonna solve the issue with applications. So you need one
Okay.
or two, maybe 3 applications, depending on how
Okay.
bad the issue is. Like we all think,
Okay.
or at least most people. So I remember going into, and this is what changed a lot of things. I went to this
Okay.
apartment, and she she's not dirty, but she likes to hoard free cans that they give him in the church.
Okay.
So she had a lot of roaches, and the apartment was very, very cluttered. And we could only do, a tiny thing here and there. But it usually took us 2 treatments to get rid of the roaches.
Okay.
So I go there and I do some gels, some spraying, and some IGR. Then I say, well, this person, to eliminate the population, we need at least to do 3 consecutive treatments in a span of 2 weeks each. That's what I thought. Guess what happened?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I've never. You'd be surprised by this. Where I live, I've never done a roach treatment before.
Okay. Usually,
So I'm a complete.
if,
I,
if you only
I
do if
know.
you
I know
only
what you
do
do, but
yeah, if you do one treatment, but the population, you have the same resources and maybe you knock down 80% of the population, um, the population will go back very quick because in each utica
okay.
you have 40 roaches. So if
Yeah.
you don't do like 2 consecutive treatments, it's gonna be, it's gonna go back. That was the old way of thinking.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? This is so bad. We have to come to do 3 treatments. They did not call us until 1 year later.
Okay.
And keep in mind,
Mm.
the conditions did not change. She was still hoarding a lot of stuff. Um,
Okay.
there was still the same amount of garbage and food that you can still sustain about 2,000 roaches easily.
Wow. Okay.
When I went back in there,
Yeah.
I found 0 live roaches. But it doesn't
You
make
cut
sense
off.
because
You
originally,
cut off for a second there. You cut off for a second.
oh,
You're
sorry.
back now. You're back now. You're all right.
Okay. When I went back to the apartment,
Yeah.
she had 0 live roaches,
Okay.
despite all the conditions being the same. And I asked her, did you have anybody else come do the treatment? She said, no, it was only you one time, and that's it.
Okay.
So, how come that she did not change her habits? We only did one treatment, like a 10-minute treatment,
Mm.
and you still have everything. How come there are
Mhm.
not there are no roaches? How how did it get solved?
Don't know.
So she claimed, okay, she was seeing some, and then she started seeing some with twisted wings, and then she started seeing less, 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 up up to the 4 month where she stopped seeing roaches, and after that, no roaches. Period.
Okay.
So I began doing Google research and
Yeah.
Google Scholar, going because that was the main key back then, right? How to properly avoid a population rebound.
Yeah. Okay.
So the IGR that I used back then, did not kill roaches per se. It just prevented them from becoming viable adults. So the old adults died off, and
Yeah.
the new sterilized adults, up to 4 months, they died because they only.
Oh, I see.
So the population died of an old age.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I became more and more interested about that. Then okay, so now we can be sure that the population can be eliminated. How do
Yeah.
we eliminate the callbacks? Um, I noticed a trend in which when I was using pyrethroid-based insecticides, I was getting high callbacks. Like, you have to come back because I'm seeing more roaches, blah, 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 blah. So,
Hello.
hello?
I'm still here. I'll fix
Oh,
my
okay.
camera. Don't worry. I'm still here.
Okay. So the trend was, the more you use pyrethroid-based insecticides, the more callbacks you got. So what if you stop using pyrethroid-based insecticides? Oh, I think he left.
Sorry, fixed it now.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what happened there. I'm not sure what's going on. There we go. Hold on a minute. No idea why it's going crazy. Hold on, I'll be back just. Hopefully that's fixed it. There we go.
Okay. I'm here.
I don't know what happened there. My camera went AWOL. So sorry, carry on where we were. Sorry about that.
No worries. Sorry, do you hear me?
Yep, hear you. No problem. I hear you.
Okay. So two things. I was seeing a trend on roaches behaving differently when I was using a specific type of insecticides.
Okay.
And then I began researching on IGRs and how they actually worked on German roaches. Why, if I was using pyrethroid-based insecticides with contact IGRs like pyriproxyfen, wasn't getting that success as I was getting it with volatile IGRs.
Okay.
It turned out that pyrethroids antagonize IGRs that need to be in contact.
Okay.
But if you don't do that, if you allow contact IGRs to keep in touch with roaches, the contact IGR actually accumulates in the roach body and prevents Utica development.
Okay.
So you had no babies, even if the mother was an adult already.
Okay.
So what does that mean? It means that if you do a chemical application to knock down a population and 10 roaches get to be alive, those 10 roaches will not first leave the area and second have babies. So even if you did a good treatment, you will not have to go back to do another chemical application, or at least not an aggressive application like you do on the first time.
Okay.
So when I stopped doing this and I began going into other exterminators accounts where they were still having a callback, I noticed that you had a population redistribution.
Okay.
So if you have a population redistribution, but you are not aware of that, when you go back to assess your service, you will not see roaches.
Okay.
And if you don't see roaches, you will assume there are no more roaches, so you will not treat, or you will treat the areas that you previously treated before, but not the new areas. So you will have
they move.
Exactly. So you will have a population growth in other areas of the house, and nothing growing in the kitchen because they left. Therefore, you will get a callback. It doesn't matter if you put a lot of traps, a lot of bait. It doesn't matter if you rotate insecticides. You still will get a callback, and you will have to use double the insecticide you used previously, because now you have to cover two areas.
Okay.
So I was doing these kind of inspections now, and I started finding roaches in weird areas where they should not have been, but they were because they were pushed out over there.
What kind of areas you talking about they moved to?
What? I'm sorry, what kind of what?
What kind of areas did they move to then that were quite strange?
Ceilings, specifically. Ceilings, yeah. I started to find roaches in living rooms, on the ceiling, out of sight. Not only that, exposed to light. Roaches tend to be in hidden places. They tend to be in warm areas, very humid. So to find roaches, especially when the population is so low, or basically zero at sight, it's very strange, because you usually think German roaches, kitchen and bathroom, but now they were under tables. They were in the ceiling perimeter, very far away from the actual food source.
Okay. Hmm.
So if you were to
Strange.
behave as a regular exterminator, you will not be able to solve that kind of situations.
No, you wouldn't.
So I decided to say, you know what, I am going to specialize in German roaches, because
Okay.
this is a serious topic. Me as a operations manager, I have to have key performance indicators. So if I were to know that I can wipe out roaches with one treatment, then it was a matter of saying, what can I do to wipe them out the soonest without
Yeah.
having bias on my services,
Okay.
right? Because a lot of people,
Yeah.
the first thing an exterminator is going to tell you is inspection is the key for IPM.
Yeah.
But what if it's a bias inspection? Oh, monitoring is the key for IPM. What if you have bias monitoring? Because roaches are no longer in the area, even though you have the attractants and everything in there, because you
Yeah.
did a bad chemical application.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun ride, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nowadays, um, I am able to eliminate more than 95% of German roaches in a single treatment,
That's
including the egg cases. So
that's good. Yeah.
so
Very good.
and a lot of people are like, you cannot kill egg cases. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, in most cases, when I go back, and again, when I go back, I usually don't treat. It depends. I can vacuum, I can set up traps, maybe some gel bait, minimal things, but you don't really
Yeah.
have to reapply um, insecticides over and over again. The average technician to eliminate a medium-sized German roach uses a gallon and a half of insecticide. I might use less than 500 milliliters. So
Okay.
that's about 70% less than
It
the
is.
average technician and have better results. Um, Nowadays, I do not do um, perimeter spray. There is no need for that. Um, and yeah, I'm nowadays, because of what I do, I am able to identify in a multifamily building if somebody's actually having a chronic infestation and is sending that to the neighbors.
So can it go through the entire building?
Exactly. Like if somebody has
Yeah.
a big population, like I
Yeah.
learned a lot.
Okay.
I didn't know that roaches are actually pretty good insects. Like they are like a Tesla, right? They have sensors in the front, they have
Yeah.
sensors in the back, they have sensors at their feet.
Yeah.
They don't have to see you to know you're there. Um, so if you know how they react, a lot of people
Yeah.
say, or especially old entomologists, they claim, oh, you have to think like a cockroach. No, you don't have to think like a cockroach, because they don't think, they react. So if
Yeah.
you know that roaches react to, I don't know, white light, then don't use white light, right? Use
Yeah.
red light
Exactly.
or no light whatsoever.
Yeah.
If you know that if you make them lose the Tigmo tactic, they will start running because they need to be in contact. So if you go do an inspection in a restaurant or go do a treatment and you start moving stuff around and the light is on, you're actually telling the roaches where to go.
Oh. Okay.
But if you don't do any of that, let's say you turn off the lights and you use a red light so they don't
Yeah.
react to it, and
Okay.
you move the stuff very slowly so they don't notice your presence or that they have lost the stigmataxia, the roaches will
Okay.
not move. They will stay quiet. They will stay still. So if you're going to vacuum them up or you're going to encapsulate them, whatever you want to do with them, they will
Yeah.
sit tight and let you do your work.
Okay. So you don't know they're there.
Yeah, but if you don't know that, then you're gonna have roaches running everywhere, and then that's why people don't like vacuuming. It's not like vacuuming is not effective. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know how to do properly because they don't know how roaches react.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I don't. I mean, the only I've never done roaches because I've done it on my courses, but I've never had to actually do cockroaches yet. And a lot of people are surprised that I tell, but in my area, we've never had any calls. Don't get me wrong, roaches are in England. They're everywhere. Just where I live and the area we cover, no one's ever rang us for them. They
Yeah.
haven't yet.
Well, you guys are very, very lucky because over here,
But
I mean,
in the
roaches are,
cities, big towns and cities, obviously they have them. They do. I'm
yeah,
very rural. I countryside. I am.
yeah. And the most important thing is a lot of exterminators, a lot, are set to fail because
Okay.
roaches they have high resistance to insecticides. And what
Yeah.
and if they go take a class, guess
Yeah.
which class they will take? They will take the free class
Yeah.
from the people that make the insecticides. So instead of telling you, hey, you have to trap, you have to vacuum, you have to know how they react, you have to use contact insecticides. They only
Yeah.
tell you you have to rotate this insecticide with that insecticide. And because it's not
Oh,
going to work, but they don't tell you, you have to use this other insecticide and this other insecticide. So the
I also
exterminator,
suppose. Sorry, I suppose there's also a vicious cycle too, isn't there? Because I imagine if you work for certain companies, you're told what you can use, and that's all they can use. So it's a never-ending circle. Am I wrong? I
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
some companies
a lot,
tell you what to use. They do.
yeah, and sadly, guess what is the most used chemistry in the world for German roaches?
I imagine it's pyrethroids.
It's pyrethroids. So people have callbacks every day because of that. So roaches are not difficult to manage. They are actually pretty easy to kill. They almost die with anything. But if you only listen to manufacturers, if you don't go out of your way, if you don't study, if you don't do the research, then you will be stuck on the spraying cycle.
Okay. Because I learned from my course, basically, spraying wasn't the way.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. It was more about gel baits, things like that,
Oh
that will
yeah.
actually do the damage. But I
Yeah.
haven't
I
put it
see.
into practice yet. But
Even people that are investigators or experts, they are
yeah,
always, oh, you gotta use this amount of bait and then rotate it with this other bait, and then you have to use. No, just just do integrated pest management, right? If you have the population dropped to 5%, then use an
yeah,
IGR and then use trapping. The trapping will take
yeah,
care of it, and the IGR will prevent them from multiplying.
yeah,
But will they say that though? Yep,
yeah.
because it's a money making business.
It is. Yeah. They only want to go once, get that money. Do they? I'm
Yeah,
guessing. I'm guessing that's how most companies go once and spray, and that's it.
yeah, and
I
they
don't
will keep
know.
having. But if you are a solo operator, a
Yeah.
callback is gonna cost you a lot of money.
It's
So you have to aim to do it in one treatment and then set up a maintenance program. But you as an exterminator, you must try to go for the complete elimination in one single treatment in the most efficient way, right? When I tell people, well, I eliminate roaches with less than 500 ml of solution, and people don't have to leave the house, and people don't have to take everything out of the kitchen. Yeah, yeah. They get what? What? Yeah.
Is that non-toxic then you're using?
Well, a lot of if they are exposed, I tend to use contact insecticides and vacuuming.
Okay.
Um, and in key areas like the upper corners where they actually will be, then you can use a residual insecticide. All you have to do is cover properly, like anything that may be contaminated, and
Okay.
you can spray like the upper corners where they will go. And
Yeah.
if a roach goes in there and survives the insecticide, she will still not have a baby.
Okay.
So you have one roach, and one roach will not be a pest, right? Roaches are not automatically a pest. They have the potential to become a pest or have a pest situation in one apartment.
Oh,
But if you have a
okay.
single roach and you take away the reproductive rights, then it's just an insect. You smash it, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. You only find one. I imagine a lot of people find one and ring you, don't they? I've got.
Yeah.
Is that how it works? I've got an infestation. I found one. There must be more.
Yeah, but if you know there are no more, then that's it. It's just a bug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting. It is. I didn't. So if you only got one and you kill that one, then it's not actually a pest. There's no infestation. Yeah, that's. Have you ever found that before? Where you've gone to a property and it's literally only one? Have you ever
Yes,
had that?
not it's
Yeah.
not only that, not only it's only one, but I find them carrying egg cases dead,
Oh, well, there you go. Oh, dead.
dead.
Oh,
And you can tell they are dead because they get dehydrated. They become black. Well, I
okay.
don't know if once you see them, they are usually kind of like reddish, yellowish.
Yeah.
But if they become black, it means it has been affected by a chitin synthesis inhibitor, so no embryo developed inside. I have the videos I posted on LinkedIn. Like when I go, it's just one roach, and you know what? I let it be. I let the roach be. I don't kill it, and then I follow up
Hmm.
next month because we have like monthly services. I follow
Okay.
up next
Yeah.
month, and that's it. It died of old age.
Okay. That's fair. That is. It, I have to tell you what. I'm learning quite a bit on this podcast. I am because it's not an area I do, and it is interesting. With you say you have maintenance programs. So what does like a Because obviously, I'll just say in England, if you haven't got a problem, you can't put anything down. Like say you can't do an insecticide treatment, e.g., in case you get ants. So what do you mean by a maintenance program for cockroaches? Do you mean make sure they're cleaning correctly and things like that? Is that what you mean?
Okay,
Or
so
is
we
it
have there are something called action thresholds, right?
okay?
So if we go into a building, we make up, every building in New York City
Yeah.
with 5 apartments or more are
Okay.
required to have monthly pest control.
What like is that a law?
It's a law.
Oh well, yes, that's good. That is good. Okay.
Yeah, if they
That's
do not,
interesting. That's
yeah, if
very
they do not
interesting.
have an exterminator, um, and somebody's having an infestation, then that person can legally fight not
Wow.
to pay rent.
I like that. I love this. There ain't no laws in Britain in the UK about that unless say it's an audited food factory, it's audited, etc. There's no actual law on even in residential. You don't have to have contracts or anything. But no,
Matter
that's really interesting. That is.
matter of a
Uh,
fact,
mm,
I don't have to only kill roaches. I have to prove people don't have roaches, and some people,
Okay.
they do try to say they have roaches. So I have to find, I have to have
Yeah.
a very good monitoring system,
Yeah.
non-biased, to actually
Yeah.
prove they don't. I remember this guy.
Yeah.
He claimed, he calls the city, and a city inspector comes to check up if he has roaches or not. So
Okay.
before that, I set up 3D monitors, which are traps in the upper areas of the walls
Okay.
and the corners where they will go.
Yeah. Okay.
I vacuum, I clean, I leave that kitchen spotless of roaches. Do not leave a
Yeah.
single roach in that kitchen.
Okay.
So when the inspector goes and sees the trap and sees that like there is no single roach, they will not put anything.
Okay. You ever get people like
And but
trying
guess
to
what the
show you
person does?
what's that? Sorry. Yeah.
He preserves roaches in a jar and shows that to the inspector
That's what
in
I was
order
about
to
to say. I was.
it, yeah. So I actually
Uh,
have to not only eliminate but prove
yeah.
they don't. So
Okay.
yeah, it's
That's really strict. That is.
it's completely
Oh,
different, because a lot of people are like, oh no, no, I have to be so perfect, because if I don't, then you know somebody's going to lose money.
yeah. Yeah. It's mind blowing. This is that you have to have it. It's in residential blocks where people are paying. I mean, it's good for the pest control business in New York City. Don't get me wrong. Now, does this apply? Does this just apply to cockroaches, or is this you have to have a rodent program as well, or is
Well,
it just
you
cockroach? Or
have
is it?
the law says you have to have a maintenance program for pest, as pests like rats,
Okay,
mice, roaches, and have a higher exterminator just in case you have bed bugs.
okay.
So
This
you
is
must have a pest control
fascinating.
contract. Yeah.
Oh, this is fascinating to me. Good for business, I'll bet. They have to have it. They do. Yeah, that's that's very interesting. I've never heard of that before. But yeah,
Yeah.
good for business. I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
Good for business. It is.
So over the past 2 years, I decided to go into consulting.
Yeah.
And now that I have my program, I wanted to see if I could replicate it
Okay.
in different countries and different environments where they
Yeah.
don't have the same resources or whatever.
Okay.
And it's been a great success. I noticed
Yeah.
most people told me that they were actually able to eliminate the pest population in one service,
That's
even
good.
in countries with limited um, amount of insecticides.
That's really good to hear. That is. That. So, to do training like your own course, do you have to have? Obviously, you've got your. Do you have to have certain qualifications, or is that why you got your ace? Because it's quite a big achievement getting an ace. Well done. You're
Thank you.
cleverer than me.
Um, well, I got the A's,
Mm.
but no, they don't actually, because I've done it outside. Just no credits. That's the only thing. I do
Okay.
not give credits at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but so far, I have trained over 200 people.
That's really good. It's really good. That is.
Yeah, and it's been going all right. I'm actually gonna do. I have gone abroad to do presentations, and then I have my classes online. But
Yeah.
for the first time, I'm going to train 10 exterminators on site. I'm going down to Mexico because I'm actually bilingual.
Okay.
So I'm going to Mexico to train 10 exterminators.
That's got to be.
Um,
Yeah. That's good.
yeah,
That
three
is.
full days on everything related to roaches.
Nice.
And you notice like when you go take a class for roaches, it's maybe an hour, and they talk about different, 5 different species, so they don't
Yeah.
really specify what you need to
Okay.
do for that. But and this is what I say: if most of what you do are German roaches, why
Yeah.
don't you try to become the best at it?
Yeah.
Okay, because you have a lot of competition that will say, with 4 treatments you will do it, but guess what? You may not have time. I remember this restaurant. I
Yeah.
got called I got called in because the manager, she was due for an inspection for the health department,
Okay. Yeah.
and they had a regular exterminator going there every month.
Okay.
So when she was doing the cleaning and preparing for the inspection, she actually started seeing too many roaches distributed, and the guy was only doing perimeter spray.
Okay.
So she talked to the exterminator and tells him, "Hey, I have an inspection soon. Um, can you please come over and minimize or eliminate the roach population?" So
Yeah.
the exterminator was like, "Okay," and I do not blame the exterminator.
Yeah. Okay.
It's what we have been trained to do so, especially by the manufacturer companies.
Yeah.
Um, he goes there and he thinks, okay, I need to knock down the population and I need to make sure that it's gone. So he goes, he sprays pyrethroids,
Yeah.
he dusts pyrethroids, and he puts some gel
Nice.
bait around.
Okay.
So remember that I said the population starts to move,
Yeah. It does move. Yeah.
and because it's moving and everything has been contaminated, the roaches were just rampaging all over the restaurant over and over again,
Oh
moving to one corner
no.
to the other to one corner, because they do not die with pyrethroids,
Mm.
at least residually. If you spray them directly, they will die because
Yeah.
you're actually showering them with the insecticide. But residually, they do not die.
Okay.
So they were just irritated, stressed, moving
Yeah.
everywhere. Um, so think about it. You have an inspection due soon,
Yeah.
and you have, even though the exterminator killed a lot of roaches, now you have, hundreds of tiny, tiny roaches running everywhere in the kitchen at 9 a.m.
Not good. Not a good look.
Not a
No.
good look. You will have the restaurant
Uh,
closed.
yeah. That would definitely get you closed down. That would.
Yeah. So I went there and I had to go with a micro injector and flushing agents that do not repel, and just by one, and with the IGRs too, right? One by one, identifying where the actual areas were
Okay.
and eliminating them with contact and residual and IGRs. It took me maybe 2 visits to actually find out where most of them were, and that's it. Out of sight, out of mind, dead. And I've been doing that restaurant for over 2 years now.
Nice.
Guess how much insecticide I have used after that?
Um. Well, over 2 years. I'm gonna say something low because you don't use a lot, like 4,000 milliliters over two
Zero,
years.
zero
Zero.
insecticides,
Good. That's really good. That is.
because you don't need to, right? If you know where the
No.
roaches were gonna be, and you have a strong monitoring system, and you
It's
actually
true.
do a proper inspection, and they do their part,
Yeah.
and they cannot, even if they had a constant pest pressure, all you have to do
Yeah.
is maybe apply insect growth regulators every 3 months. That will prevent that single roach from having babies. You can have a lot
Mm.
of food, a lot of spaces, everything necessary for the roaches, But if
Yeah,
they cannot reproduce, they are simply a bug.
yeah, that's right. You've got very good points. I'm sure people listening will find this very informative because I'm learning a lot. I am. It's not an area I do a lot in, but I've got friends that do a lot of cockroaches. I have, but you're correct. Yeah, I should have said zero. Really, I should have. You got me there. You did. But that's good. That's a good reflection on you and what a good job you do and how good you've become. You know, you were down there, now you're up there. You are big time. That's a good
Yeah,
reflection on you. That is.
and there is this grown perception that us as an exterminator, we have to go there and we always have to spray and we have to always do the perimeter. You don't. If you're doing a good job, you won't have roaches running everywhere in the perimeter for them to die. Um, but you have to listen very careful to the classes. Hey, to what the classes people are getting,
Yeah,
because they always talk about pesticide rotation, gel bait application, pesticide
yeah,
calendar application, domino effect, all of that. It's really
yeah.
not necessary. It's really not all of that if you know what they do and how they react. Right away, when I went there to that restaurant, right away I knew the population was stressed. So if I were to just
Okay.
have blasted the perimeter and the common
Yeah,
areas, I would have done nothing and I would have
yeah,
not been hired. And it is very common for a restaurant to have three, four, five different exterminators in a month because none of it is very
oh,
common
okay.
because they cannot
Hmm,
solve it. And I do not
okay.
blame them for it. It's just
Yeah.
what kind of classes are they taking
So it's
and
down to
who are they listening to?
poor training, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It is. That's not good because obviously, do you have to do what do you call it? Continuous professional development. Do you have to do something like that? So many credits per year? Is that you may call it something else? Do you do something similar to that?
Yeah, every year, I mean, every 3 years, we have to show the state per license
Yeah.
X amount of credits to
Okay.
recertify as an exterminator. But
Okay.
but that doesn't mean it has to be useful. Sorry, doesn't mean it has to be useful information. It's just basic stuff, right? But
Yeah.
if you really, like that, so far, based on what I'm seeing and what I have done,
Yeah.
like if people concentrated on a single species and what they do, they can achieve great things. Like in the UK, right? In the UK, you guys are big for rats, and
Yeah.
I
We've
love
got
like
massive rats we have here. Yeah.
I see the videos, and I'm like, if I were to specialize on rats, I will go at least 6 months to work for a company in the UK. The way you guys do the biological control with the dogs, that's just amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have someone on the podcast there soon. I'm gonna get Kieran. Have you seen Kieran Sampler's videos on LinkedIn? He does ratting,
Yeah,
dog
and then I
ratting,
see I
and it's a
see
cool videos.
Stuart Blair. Um,
Yes, he's good. He is. Yeah.
yeah, and
With
I see him
his
with the rat shooting. I'm like, that's
yeah,
fascinating.
it
Um,
is.
because on my end, I see that and I'm thinking, well, compare that to us in America. Oh, we have to set up 12 snap traps and
Oh, I
five
mean, don't get me
different.
wrong. There's still options of traps and rodenticide as well, but there is multiple options. It's all still there. It's not banned, but
No, but
I've got to give you
over
yeah.
here, it's mainly product based, right? You set up
Okay.
traps, you set up bait, that's it.
Okay.
It's very rare, almost not non-existing, besides from um, Scott from Unique Pest Management. That's the only one I know that actually works with dogs.
Okay.
The rest they don't do it. And I'm like, I see those videos. Wow, they can kill 80, 100 rats in a night, easy.
It,
And the breeding rats and everything. Um, so my advice to people is if you have the opportunity to specialize, like actually specialize on what you do the most, do it.
Yeah.
Don't just stay with the basics. Don't just do the training for the credits. Actually go look out. It doesn't matter how much experience you think you have. There
Yeah.
is always something new to learn.
There you go. That's exactly what we always say. Every day is a learning day. It is. You can always learn
Yeah,
something new.
and
There are people out there that don't think actually think there's nothing they can learn. There is
yeah,
people.
and especially
It's,
with techniques. Like if you learn a new technique, then you have zero experience in that technique.
yeah. Got to put
And
that
if you tell me,
technique.
well, I have 40 years doing the same technique, then I'm like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to try some new techniques. You have because it's ever changing. The pest management industry, they're always it's probably the same in America. They're always removing insecticide and rodenticides and removing them from the market, and new products come in and new methods and new ways. It's always changing. So you've got to stay up to date with what's going on. You have.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it is definitely important to start changing because yeah, that I was gonna say this.
Yeah.
Not every insecticide out there is for German roaches, and I always see people, oh, I this new spray for German roaches. Everything has to, even though it doesn't work, we know it doesn't work, but everything's labeled for it.
Tell them to read the label.
Yeah, but again, the label will say it is labeled for German roaches. But how many treatments will you actually have to do to eliminate German roaches with that insecticide?
Okay. It don't
That's
tell you,
that's
I imagine. It would also depend on the infestation size as well, wouldn't it? It would.
Yeah, and the
And
bigger
then
the infestation, the less advisable it is to use insecticides.
okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun. I mean, I love big infestations. To
So
me,
okay then. So what's the worst infestation of roaches, German roaches, you've ever seen? Have you had them coming down from the ceilings at you, like thousands of them? Have you ever had anything like that? Like some crazy story?
not really. I mean, they have a way to control themselves. Like
Okay.
after it grows to a certain state, they
Yeah.
start cannibalizing on each other.
Oh, okay.
So it's not actually the amount of roaches, but the amount of aggregation zones, right? Like you
Yeah.
can have 100 roaches in a single spot, but if you have, I don't know, 100 spots and you miss one or two, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I'll say it's not. Yeah, it's the worst that I've seen is when the roaches, again, no roaches in the kitchen at all,
Yeah.
nothing, but they were everywhere in the house except the kitchen and bathroom because it was previously treated by an exterminator.
Okay.
So and again, not on site. Like you will think, and their behavior is very important, um, because you will think they will go away from light, but they don't
Yeah.
care. Like they have priorities. If
Okay.
the population is too big, or if somebody uses insecticides, then they
Yeah.
prioritize contact over light irritation.
Okay.
So you will have a chronic issue in other areas. Um, the most recent bat infestation I did was a restaurant,
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
but I enjoy them. So I don't think I don't call them like really bad infestation. I just enjoy
Yeah.
the treatment.
See, that's how you can tell you're passionate about specialising, because you had brought it up specialising. That was a question, but you beat me to it. I didn't ask you it, but yeah, it was a good point on that. One thing I also noticed as well, you do canine bed bug detection.
Yes, yeah, that's a
Do
very
you? I think
well.
it's very cool, that
Right
method.
as of right now,
Yeah.
we don't do it per se because of
Okay.
COVID. The
Yeah.
bedbug calls were dropped out significantly
Okay.
because people were not interacting with each other. So you only got like the reservoirs, but the influx of bedbugs stopped. And
It's,
if you have a bedbug dog, you have to train him constantly.
oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you do.
So because we didn't have a flow of calls, we stopped training the dogs, and he's right here at my feet.
Okay, that's fair enough. I thought I'd
So
ask though,
he's
because
excellent on detecting bed bugs. Don't get me wrong, but he has to
yeah.
be retrained. That's why we're not
Okay.
offering the services at the moment. But yeah, it's something very interesting because pest control is about assessment, analysis, and bias.
Cheers. Yeah, I just thought I'd ask because I see it on your LinkedIn. I did. Oh, I also seen you using recently or today or yesterday. It was cockroach treatment. You were using the steam machine.
Yeah,
Was that?
it's actually a friend of mine that I trained. He's
Yeah.
become he's become one of the greatest, if not the greatest, exterminator in Mexico City.
Okay.
Like you give him a very bad situation, and I can be assured this guy can eliminate it easily, easily, because of the techniques he's done.
Yeah.
So you can see that like in his service, if you pay attention to the entire and the other service as well, the amount of chemical he uses is less than one liter for a bad infestation.
Yeah. That's good. That is. So that wasn't you posted the video, but it wasn't your video. I'm
No, it
sure
was
it was your
it was
video.
my friend's video. I want to help him
Ah.
to grow his LinkedIn community because he's very
Oh,
good at it. He's a TikTok star, though.
is he?
Yeah, he
Oh,
gets most of his work through TikTok. He posts
nice.
that on TikTok, and he gets like 8, 10 leads a day, maybe more.
That's so cool. Because I tell you what, I post content, but I do on TikTok, but not as well as him by the sounds of it.
No, this guy has videos on the millions, millions and millions.
Wow.
Like some
And
of them
there's
have been
me.
on the news.
Wow, that's so cool, man. There's me with 25,000 on one TikTok. There's him with millions, but you never know. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good way of getting work, isn't it? But it's nice you're helping him on LinkedIn. That's nice. That is.
Yeah.
That is.
What I want to have is like a new generation of exterminators that are not good, excellent on what they
It's
do.
what it's about. Because it's like in England, I reckon in the next 5 years, half of it, 50% of the pest control industry is due to retire. So
Wow.
that's the statistic they came up with. So
Oh wow.
trying to, but obviously I help the MPTA trade body. I do, and we're trying to find ways to get to younger people and
Well,
people in general
I'm
to try
also
and try and try
that,
and let them know it's a career. We
yeah,
are.
that's one thing I also wanna. That's why I'm doing this too, because I want to show people that being in pest control and doing it right, even though you are new, you may have like again, I have only 6 years of pest control experience.
Yeah. I've only done it since 2020, so
Yeah, just a couple years after me, and
yeah,
well, maybe 6 or 7, but I've been in the same level for about 2 3 years now.
yeah.
So you can be
Okay.
new and you can be great.
You can just don't follow the bad habits of certain people that show you. That's the thing. You can fall into, you can. And make sure you get the correct training, obviously. As you say.
Yeah. Like my German roach class.
Yeah.
Guess how many hours is?
I no. You know a lot about roaches, that you do. 20 hours?
40.
40. And I was nearly. I should have gone 40, but halfway. I was halfway there. So you're saying the average roach course is just an hour?
Yeah, the average, and in that hour, you're only gonna get maybe 10 minutes or less on German roaches.
Problem is, it's getting it to stick in your brain. That's the problem. After an hour, it won't really stick in there. It won't.
Yeah. So my class is not only about German roaches, but it's IPM applied to German roaches.
Yeah.
And IPM is a broad thing. Like people only think it's only the applied area. It's not.
No, it's rats too. Mice.
No, but I mean,
IPM.
no, not only the extermination part of it, but the analysis. IPM is more like 90% inspection, ID, documentation, evaluation, and monitoring than its chemical application.
Yeah. Also, proofing. It's also, sorry, you call it exclusion as well as involved. Yeah,
but
we call it proofing.
that's also part of the actions you do, and the actions maybe only 10 to 5%. Yeah, so that's where the trend is going.
Going well though. 40-hour course is, I suppose that would be, if you were to do that in person, wouldn't that be like a 3-day course? If you were to do all days?
I'm doing a 3-day class with 10 exterminators.
Oh, in Mexico, what? Yeah, you mentioned that previously.
And we are gonna go for the bad places. Like we're gonna do free treatments so they can see on person that we can eliminate a lot of roaches easy with no callbacks.
That's really that's every pest controller's dream. No callback.
Yeah, and we don't get callbacks. I wish I did. Before I used to make more money because I was getting callbacks and charging for the second treatment.
Yeah, we generally don't get callbacks generally, but it doesn't happen very often at all. Yeah, but I don't do roaches. So.
Yeah, in German roaches, if you did not set up a second service already, you will get a callback. Usually.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ability, and again, even if roaches get to be alive, they are out of sight. And because they are out of sight and they die inside the cracks and crevices, to your customer's perception, you got no roaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's out of sight, out of mind. It is. It is. So, yeah. I'll tell you what. I've learned a lot. I have so far. I've learned a lot more because obviously, when you do pest control, the areas that you mainly do is what you remember, and what you don't ever do, you kind of have to refresh yourself if you were to get a job. Like cockroaches, because I've never actually done it. I know what to do now because I've really, really learned and studied what to do. But beforehand, it caught me completely off guard. It did. I was like, I've never done cockroaches. And it was in the exam, but
no,
I learned. I did. But I learned the correct way though, because the way we got taught, it wasn't just spray insecticide everywhere. It wasn't that way. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, when I do my presentations, the first thing I do is show how roaches react. Once you know that, the rest is history.
It's good to know that. That is because obviously it's about the biology of knowing what to use and how to eliminate the problem. It
Yeah.
is.
And you know what? I, out of all the classes I've taken before, what I show, I've never seen it. That's why it's a business opportunity on teaching,
Yeah,
because people were not doing it.
it's good. It's a good idea. Is that through yourself, or is that through, do you do your training through the company you work for? Is it just through you?
No, I do it. I do it myself. I
Oh,
own the
good.
company. Um, what I do, as an example, in Mexico, I join either the pest control associations,
Yeah.
right? Like you have the NT.
We have the MPTA and we've also got the BPCA over here. We have.
Yeah. So what I do is I join, like I work with them, and I
Yeah.
work with private training companies, and then for legal purposes and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I do my part. They do the part, and it's been a fun ride.
That's good. That's good to hear. That it's nice to hear when someone steps out their comfort zone and is confident with what they're doing. You obviously you took me on the journey from where you started and you were learning. Now you understand a lot to a high degree. You can now train people, and you're absolutely killing it. Honestly, it's incredible to hear what you're doing, and you've trained over 200 people so
200
far.
people.
That's a good amount of people. That is to be
Yeah,
training. It's you should be proud of yourself because I think it's really good. I do.
yeah. And again, I know if people, especially that I do not give credits, if people are attending my class,
Yeah,
um, it's because they actually want to learn something new. If I were to give credits, I will say, well, maybe they are just here just to pass the time and get the credits. But knowing that they are not, and they actually want to change, is great.
it's good. It's very good. It's good to hear. It is. Um, yeah, it's really can like people can people from say England or any country around the world like have you got like a website you can go and sign up for a course with you or do you have like a platform where all your videos are available for you to watch or
Well,
is
I
it like
have
that or is it
most of my content is actually in Spanish. I have
okay
though trained people from California.
okay
Yeah,
and
but
it's
no,
good
like
that you can speak English and Spanish because you can get two a lot more people basically because over here obviously most of the trainers can only speak English whereas you can go to different countries that speak Spanish or do webinars and train them that way as well you can so
yeah, it's
there's more scope because my my I might be wrong in this but I was on isn't the Spanish one of the biggest um in terms of numbers like on like YouTube and stuff around the world in the highest numbers, more than English in numbers.
no. I think it's maybe China. Some it has to be something with India or China. Like they
Well,
have the
I thought it was Spanish was very high in
no, like
in
Spanish is like
numbers.
number two.
Oh, but yeah, see, you're still up there. You're still up there, big time. It is, but because a lot of these big YouTubers on YouTube, a lot of them convert their videos to Spanish. They do, and they get more videos through Spanish audience than you do English. It's quite
Yeah,
interesting,
I have
that is.
I made a video a few years back on how to eliminate roaches with a
Yeah,
non-repellent strategy, and that was pretty successful. I got like 24,000 views.
I'm going
Um,
to check it now. It might be higher. You never know.
yeah, and I see some people like, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, like it's people have found that very helpful compared to what's out there.
That's good. That's what you want to hear. That is, it's That's good because it's all about helping people, isn't it? It's like some of the content, like people like wonder why some of the way I market, like I don't I make little graphics. I don't know if you've seen them, and people wonder why I do that rather than say come to Oakham Pest Control, and it's about kind of giving them a bit of education. And I've had a lot of people in my local area actually have me out because of it. It's like, remember you, rather than a go on the hard sell, because that doesn't work anymore in social media, does it?
No,
People don't want to be sold to. So I try and give them a little bit of education. And if they want you, they ring you up. They do. It works quite well. But yeah, it's all to help people, it is. Obviously, you don't give away the secret keys, do you? You don't tell them everything. You know what I mean? Like you give them nuggets, and then
I think even if they were to try to do it on themselves, again, it's more than 40 hours of training.
Yeah.
If you want to take information for a 20-minute video, you might have some success, but you don't have the experience of a professional exterminator.
It's true. That is.
Though some people have had success by themselves with that video, like homeowners.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't kill roaches, but you sterilize them, eventually they will die out.
Yeah. It's true, that is. But yeah, it's like people watching YouTube videos how to molt, because I do mole trapping. And I've had one bloke, his garden was annihilated because he was trying to do it himself. Molehills everywhere. And I cleared them within 3 or 4 visits. I did. On the mole traps, quite interesting. For some reason, he was using scissors, which he didn't really know how to work. And scissor traps, I don't use them. But he had carrots attached to them. I said, what's the carrots about? Well, bait. I said, they don't eat bait, they eat worms. Google tells you that. He went a little bit red. He was like, oh, okay. I said, well, Google could have told you that. But he was a nice enough bloke, he was. Sometimes he was trying it for a year, and it just, it's a case of knowing what to do, isn't it? Having that expertise. It is.
And especially with roaches, let's say on TikTok or in mainstream things, that's what people struggle the most. German roaches, because they try to do it themselves, and they fail, and then they use pyrethroid-based insecticides, and they see it worse. So that's when they start calling pest control.
And also with like fleas as well. A lot of people try off-the-shelf flea stuff, and often they've not waited till it's a little bit. They've waited until it's a full infestation, and they try and buy the stuff off the shelf, which really doesn't work. Then they ring you in the end. So that's what I find. I do.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Before I leave, do you have any questions for me?
I think we've pretty much covered a lot of it.
Before I leave, where else is this being transmitted?
This is on. Well, obviously my podcast is new, and obviously this is live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
How do we find you on Facebook?
I will send you all the links. I can DM or email you them. I can email you them.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you.
I can do that. And there's no one watching at the minute, it says. But when you start, because when I started doing the podcast, because it was pre-recorded, most people watch on demand. But also this will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere you can think of that does video. So I've got a link I can give you. It gives you the majority of the links. It's a link tree. It is. Okay. But it's on most platforms. But I'm sure over time people will join live. I'm a new podcast, you see. But even the other one, Beauties and Beasties, that you've probably heard of, they told me most of their views and listens come after the fact. So they told me not to worry and keep, because I said not many people come live. No, don't worry. Most people will catch up with it after the fact.
So you upload it onto Spotify?
Yeah, I upload it onto Spotify, and then once I upload it onto Spotify, because I've got it set all correctly, it jumps onto Spotify video as well, Spotify video, or they can pick the audio, and then it goes to Apple, it goes to a load of them, it does. So literally the podcast will be everywhere and anywhere. And if it isn't somewhere that you know, let me know and I'll put it there. Honestly, it's on Amazon Music, it's on Audible, it's on everywhere. I've told people, if there's somewhere you listen to on a platform, tell me and I'll put it on there.
No, I remember I was listening to the one that you have with the field biologist.
Oh, Debbie Wilson.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she's a good trainer. She is. She's a good person. She got me through my RHPH level 2 in pest management. But yeah, shout out to Debbie if you're listening. But yeah, it's I'll give you a link, and it will link you to all of them if you want to click on them. You can. But yeah, thanks for coming on, George. It's been great. Now, do you want to tell people where they can find you, or if they want to do any of your online courses or anything, just promote your stuff?
The most important professional thing they can find me, it's gonna be on LinkedIn as Jorge Bedoya, Bedoya, Ace PCQI. So they can find me there, and then I know I have not been posting a lot. I have to get back on that, but
it's fine. You're not sad like me. I post too much.
No, I love your content, man. For real.
Well, we'll see. You know what I mean? It's just, I just post it. I know not everyone likes the fitness stuff and the weightlifting stuff, but I'm not bothered. You know, people still look at it. They do.
Yeah.
But if you want to check George's stuff out, I will actually, if you're listening on any platform, I will put the LinkedIn link in the description. So you can just click it on your phone if you'd like to check George out and give him a follow on LinkedIn or a connection or whatever you want. Also, please remember to register if you with the BPCA. Please register that you've listened to this podcast, and you'll get your relevant points. And if you're part of the British Pest Register, I will put this up very soon, and you'll be able to put your CPD for that on the British Pest Register, because we're just about to hit an hour and a half. It will be by the time this finishes. You will get 1.5 points for listening to this. And you'll learn quite a bit, because I've learned a lot today. Thanks, George, for teaching me the ways and giving me tips, and it's been quite informative. It has.
Good. All right. Well.
All right, and thanks for your time. And I'll let you go. What time is it over there, out of interest?
Sorry, again?
What time is it over there, out of interest?
It's
time?
5:03.
In the evening?
Yeah, 5:03 p.m.
Oh, I've got to say, I didn't want it 5 in the morning.
No.
No, you wouldn't have got up that early, I don't think. But thank you anyway.
My pleasure.
I'll speak to you online soon, but I'll send you that link and you can get all the details. Right. See you next week, everyone. Thanks, George.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.